How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home. So, today we'll be talking about Justice League No Justice. Now, some of you remember my other video of the first issue of No Justice. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review, discussion of No Justice. So it's 4 issues, written by a whole bunch of guys and drawn by Francis Manapul, and I want to say a couple other guys. I'm trying to think of who it was offhand. I'm not even sure about Francis Manapul. I'm like 90% sure he was one of them. So anyway, so let's see. Yeah, okay. So much better. No Justice. No Justice, and this is where it starts, like, spoilers. I'm going straight into it. No Justice is the missing link between which is the events of Dark Knight's Metal and the new stuff, which is going to be, I don't know, the Justice Foundation era. I mean, we're going to get 3 Justice League books coming out of this. We're going to get the Scott Snyder Justice League. We're going to get the Teen Titans in space. And we're going to get Justice League Dark. Now, I'm not that big on the goings-ons of comics. I'm a huge comics fan. I'm not the guy that reads every book or reads the majority of books, or hell, like, No Justice was the first DC book I picked up in a while. I'm trying to think of what it was I was reading beforehand that I can honestly say was my month-to-month. My month-to-months for a while were non-existent. So No Justice, I recognized it for what it was. It was the prelude, the ground zero, you don't have to read what came before, but this is the jumping on point for what we're doing now. And in that sense, it's not a bad book, because it has all the characters of the DCU that you really care about working together, and they are trying to solve a problem in that these giant space creatures that kind of look like the Kirby, not elementals, they look like the Kirby, they're very Kirby. They're Kirby space gods. So, the Kirby space gods are trying to destroy Brainiac's homeworld, but not Krypton, but like Colu, or Kalu, or whatever however it's pronounced. And there's this division of the teams. Like, they have a lot of talent, but Brainiac has a plan that's going to involve double-crossing the Justice League and the Legion of Doom, but they're not really the Legion of Doom yet. They're just, everyone's working together to solve their problems, which is, they go on to Team Wisdom, Team Wonder, Team Entropy, I forget what the 4th team is, like, it was that memorable, but all the teams are split up so that you get a sense of how things are going to be working going forward. They put Wonder Woman on the Magic Users team, and now, just to be clear, first big spoiler, Amanda Waller is playing defense on Brainiac, because she is just as, like, egomaniac control freak as he is, except he knows more than her in general. So her counterpart in the story is Green Arrow. So while Waller's like there is no hope, let's just kill them all now, let's burn in the ground, we're gonna deal with everything that way. And Green Arrow is like, we are not killing everyone involved, we are not nuking everything, we are not doing this, we're not doing that, and we're waiting for the Justice League to show up. So there's that. Waller in this one to me was annoying because like as a character, like that's what was getting to me. It wasn't like annoying as in like her motivations were in keeping with the continuity of Amanda Waller. But in terms of story arc, it was like she was running defense basically on Brainiac, which in turn broke down the plan from the start that Brainiac set up. So automatically, whatever plan he had, done. Then we get one of the products of Team Entropy was they had to do a raid on a prison, and in there was Vril Drox, which is Brainiac Jr., Brainiac 2.0. He was at odds with his father over something, and through the course of the Justice League's actions, he comes to hate them for the same reason, for, nothing. I mean, if he's going to be the new big bad in the DC universe, if they're setting him up as the big bad, or I don't know what their plan is. I don't follow the solicitations. I don't follow that. You're listening to a guy who is talking about comics from just the perspective of No Justice, or DC Comics anyway, and I'm trying to figure out what stories I want to continue on reading, because they put Wonder Woman with the magic users, and I think they're gonna try and establish her relationship with the gods and her relationship to the magic that comes with them. I think they're going more magic than sci-fi, or just the elements of it. And I think it was kind of ham-fisted, put Wonder Woman on Team Wonder. Okay. One of the fun things about this book for me was seeing Batman's team with Deathstroke and Beast Boy, and I want to say Luthor was on that team, and maybe I'm trying to remember what team Martian Manhunter was on, but Team Entropy was fun because it was all the guys that could, through strategy and force of will, just create chaos. And trying to think, I think Sinestro was on that team as well. And aside from Team Entropy, Starro the Conqueror was my favorite character, because it was one of those characterizations that I don't really think is one that you see often, because they turned Starro the Conqueror into the best friend next door. The guy, remember the Truman Show, when that one dude that's on The Americans right now, he played the best friend? Every time there was an issue, he just showed up with a 6-pack of beer. Hey, Truman, how's it going? He was brick open glass, whatever. And Starro was comedic in that sense. You didn't get the I want to take over the world vibe from him. He seemed like a guy that was just hey, I'm gonna enjoy life. Like, and that was what I was reading into it, because he would talk, whenever he would talk to Martian Manhunter, it'd be like, Marty! And I don't think I've ever heard that before, and like, I had an appreciation for like that level of I don't know, comedy, I guess. So of course he dies. Yep. So he makes a heroic sacrifice where he's going to take on a god. He's going to try and control him like he does everything else, but the god just tears off, which I don't know if they killed him, or they just tore him apart so that he could regrow. Because I know starfish have this genetic ability to regrow limbs, but I'm trying to remember offhand if they killed him, or if they tore him apart and and burned him, or if they left him on the dying planet, and I don't even know if that's like true of Starro the Conqueror, because he's not, like, he is a starfish, but he's like an alien starfish. I don't know if they're gonna have the same ability for him or not. I don't know the history of Starro, but let's see. There's a lot of plot thread. Like, this is a missing link book, meaning it's going to check in with like a lot of plot threads that are going on. I think Lex Luthor was a good guy in the Superman books, and like they put a cigarette on that plot. That's done with. It's like Lex Luthor has a moment to realize that he's going to be a villain. And one of the things that kind of annoyed me about the book was they were pushing the idea of, well, they broke the source wall, which is like the rules of the universe. Like some writers use it as a fourth wall. Some people use it as like if you were to look at the fourth wall, instead of like just like them addressing the audience, it's like that's what it looks like in the DC universe. So what it ended up doing was somehow in metal it broke, and all the Green Lanterns are trying to fix it, and they have no idea how to fix it. So they take a break from trying to fix the wall to save Earth from the... so with everyone's combined powers of entropy, wisdom, and whatever the hell the other one was, wonder, too, like they just like put all their feelings combined that were from the seeds. I mean, it was... Oh yeah, by the way, those trees that were on Kolu, like, grew on Earth, like, kind of in the same places. Like, there's a tree in Bellevue Prison because it had to be a prison. Let's see, who else? Yeah, that was it. Like, there was 3 other trees. I don't even remember where the hell they grew. So the 4 trees are growing, and whoever wrote these books, or this particular plot point, is a total DBZ fan, because they totally stole the Tree of Life stuff that was going on. They stole the Tree of Life plot, and then they took like the energies from all the seeds and combined it together to make an attack on the entropy god. And for whatever reason, like, he was the bad god, I guess. I don't know. So they killed off like the one universal force of like things ending and breaking apart, which resolved. Like, if you read this book, you're gonna get a resolved thing. You're might be left in the cold trying to figure out why Lex Luthor's a good guy. Like, it just reads as Brainiac assembles like his own force, which he doesn't get to command, and produces and like nothing really, because they failed to save the alien planet, but they also managed to free all the planets that Brainiac, I don't know, Kandor made smaller, bottled up, and all that. So, in terms of like possibilities, there's going to be like a whole new sector of space, because that's what this book was about. It was about opening up new opportunities, and what I'm thinking is they are going to have a new sector, which is going to be something Sinestro wants to be involved with, because he wants order altogether. And then we see that there's going to be a Titans in Space book, which is Starfire, Cyborg. I want to say the original Teen Titans. Then there's going to be the Justice League itself. And there's going to be Justice League Dark with Wonder Woman. Then there's going to be either in a story coming up or what have you, it's going to be the Legion of Doom. I don't know what book that's coming out of, but I'm going to bet Scott Snyder's going to be doing that one. Then, let's see, there's going to be a Batman and the Outsiders book. I don't think I think I know from this what I've heard about the solicitations, it's not going to be actually a Batman and the Outsiders book, but it's going to be Batman and the Outsiders, because Batman in this scene calls up Black Lightning and says, we need a team of outsiders. Okay, so we're doing Batman and the Outsiders. And what kind of annoyed me about this book was, it's like, we're rewriting the rules of the universe. We're rewriting the rules of the universe. But we're still going to do the same things we've done before. It's just that we're going to put a new spin on it. I mean, that was like the annoying part for me, because it was like, if we're going to rewrite the rules of the universe without like retconning things, we're just going to introduce new concepts. Then introduce new concepts. I mean, Damian could have done his own team of outsiders and gone extreme or something. Like, keep it familiar, but also keep it new, fresher. I mean, like, Batman and the Outsiders was like a concept from like 20 or 30 years ago. I know from what I understand, I think it's either a rumor or maybe the announcement's been made. I know one of my favorite writers is Brian Azzarello, and I know Azzarello is rumored, or is, I don't know, is going to be taking over Suicide Squad, which is going to oversee what Amanda Waller was doing with Belgrave and all them. So, and the rumor with that is they're going back to the old John Ostrander style Suicide Squad. And I'm not a numbers guy in terms of comic sales. I know that DC has a good habit, like these days, of the books that they're putting out sell, in that they don't like deal with books that like are tanking. I mean, so the Suicide Squad's been running forever, and I don't think it's been a mandate that they have Suicide Squad going because of the movie. I think it's either the Harley Quinn connection, like they're riding out that wave, or there's a legitimate fan base for Suicide Squad. I don't know for sure. I can't tell you how good the books have been over the past several years. All I know is that, screw that. All I know is that Suicide Squad's been going strong for several years. Am I going to pick up any more books out of this? I might pick up Scott Snyder's Justice League. I might pick up the book that James Tynion is writing, because I was a fan of his work on, I want to say Robin. I mean, I'm trying to remember what book it was that he wrote several years ago, but it was like a sidekick book, or it wasn't Talon. I know he wrote Talon. I'm trying to think of what the hell book it was, but I also read from James Tynion one of his Apocalypse books. It's not titled Apocalypse. It has something to do with genetics. It's or eugenics. I think eugenics is the actual name of the book. Eugenics. I read that book, and I saw the original art pages for it at New York Comic Con and Artist Alley by the artist, and I was getting a like that episode of the Outer Limits where the new one from like the 90s, where babies are not being born healthy, and and I pretty much like, from my understanding of the concept, like I pretty much thought it was going to be the end of humankind by way of like mutation or whatever, and I was kind of close. I mean, like I picked up the second issue, and it dealt with things like 100 years later, which I wasn't expecting, and then the issue after that took place another 100 years or so later, and the one consistent thing was like they all ended on the same note, and it's a good book. It's worth reading. I'm not a fan of bad ends like that, in terms of like I was having this discussion on Twitter, and like I'm gonna be closing this one up whatever, because I'm just rambling right now, but I was having a discussion about like my favorite kind of horror, and like to a lesser extent sci-fi, is the good bad end, which is the best case I can think of is The Thing by John Carpenter, where the monster is dead, you think, but you're not quite sure, and there's these two guys, and they don't know if either of them is infected, or if they were both infected. I don't think they have the conversation that they do, but there's nothing they can do. They're both gonna die, so they have a very like nihilistic moment where they're just like sharing a drink. Like, that is my favorite bad end of all time, and it's delicious. The Thing prequel that came out a few years ago, like, it hit the notes, but it didn't hit the spot. But that was a good one. I'm trying to think, like, the slasher movies where like you see the killer like get it, but then you see him at the end. Like, those are like the good bad ends where it's like it's gonna continue or whatever. Like I'm trying to think of like the worst bad ends are the Hostel movies, where it's like the first Hostel movie, guy gets away, like, but everything is still out there, like you don't see what happens afterwards. Then Hostel Part 2 doubled down on that. He's the first one to die in the movie, and then, sorry, spoilers, then you get, the movie's been out for a really long time, people, come on. Then you get how the girl survives in the end. So she survives, but like she gets to like get her revenge or whatever, and but I'm not a huge Eli Roth fan. He's done a couple of really good movies. Like, I'll give him credit for that, but like when I say bad end, like when I'm thinking about that, it's usually one of his movies where the guy ends up a cannibal at the end of it. So like that whole torture porn like theme and horror, like I'm not a huge fan of that either. So all right guys, peace.